Hello, I'm John Clark. I want to give you a chance to get to know me today. Kind of start off a little bit about my background in the clinical world. I began in the inpatient side of treatment for adolescents and young adults in addiction as well as mental health, and have recently gotten more into the aftercare side of treatment, which would be considered recovery residence, aftercare, transitional living, halfway houses. People call them all different kinds of names. I started the Oak Tree Recovery about 5 years ago. And this year, actually the end of 2015, Chris Hart and I opened The Road, which is an intensive outpatient program here in Asheville, with hopes to expand to other areas of the state. We started with a young men's group. In Asheville, there's a huge young community, so there's probably 15 to 20 houses, a few hundred beds of recovery residences. So there's a great need here for additional clinical support for the young people in this town. At The Road, we offer a program 3 hours a day, which is 3 times a week, 9 hours total. There's a lot of process groups during this time, as well as experiential activities. We do some outdoor wilderness hikes twice a month. We focus on life skills. Seeking safety is an underlying modality which is focused on both trauma as well as addiction. It's a time for these people to come in, the young people to come in and talk about what's going on in their life on a daily basis. It's not all this theoretical stuff about addiction, although we do some psych ed. I do want to express that it's about how do we get through the day sober. What do I do when I feel this? What do I do when I'm in this situation? How do I go about doing this new activity sober? What do I tell my mom when she asks me this? You know, all the different things that come up during the course of a day. That's why people don't make it in early recovery, is because they don't know how to handle just the very simple things that others kind of glaze right through. And I say we because I'm in recovery myself, so I understand that a part of this process is beginning to relearn life. And at The Road, it's a bunch of people, clinicians as well as clients, that are trying to figure out how to live sober. The approach that we use here at The Road, in a clinical term, most people would call it humanistic or person-centered. With that philosophy, the therapists come in, or clinicians, with a very equal footing. They're on common ground. Most all our employees here are in recovery, so they have both professional and personal experience in the transitional or the transformation that occurs in recovery. So it's a very hand-holding type experience. There's a philosophy of loving people into early recovery. It's absolutely not anything that a typical young person, especially I'm speaking to the parents here, that an adolescent or a young adult would push back against. It's a very soothing, inviting type atmosphere here. This is a time of tremendous agony, pain, confusion, but underneath all that really is fear. In this day and age, we see all the time about young people and people of all ages that aren't making it to the other side of addiction to ever experience recovery. So this is a traumatic time. It's a time where we don't want to make any mistakes, so to speak. And my message to you is make sure that you access as much support as you can. Recognize this is a family disease. You need support for the family. You need as much support as possible for your loved one, especially if they're just coming out of treatment. The chances of them just coming out and fixing a thinking disorder, which is addiction on many levels, and all of a sudden being able to try to think their way out of it back at home. This is an integral part of early recovery. It is most necessary that your loved one get a time that's separate from the daily living that goes on at a recovery residence or wherever they're living upon discharge out of an inpatient facility or out of a detox. They're going to need somebody to hold their hand and process the feelings that are coming through. Some of these Young people have been using 5 to 10 years. They have no clue how to manage life without that crutch that they thought was the drugs and alcohol, but essentially we become that new crutch, be able to process through so they can learn how to live successfully. It is so important. I hate to say, but I have seen many young people and families experience tremendous, unnecessary pain and torment. I want to emphasize too that in the rooms of a 12-step community, they say the end result of active addiction is jails, institutions, and death. That is a reality that I have experienced, I've witnessed, and I am in the business of trying to prevent that at all costs. In order to carry the message to your loved one, it is important that I have a message to carry. And unfortunately, that means, or you could look at from your side of the camera, so to speak, as fortunately, I have been there. And when I say I've been there, I've really been there. I have a personal story of recovery, and you can't have a story of recovery unless you have a story of addiction. And through the grace of many people and many helping hands, I have a story of recovery today. And with that being said, I'm much better able to carry a message to your loved one. It's an ongoing relationship that I will build with your loved one that may come into the road at any point. It's so important for them to take what I have with the gravity that it's meant to have, is to know that it's coming from my experience. They don't care what you say unless they know that you care.